All right. This is part two. I hope you were able to hear part one. It's a doozy and it's kind of an extension of that. So, this is Love Spiracy, and I am your host, Trinity. And I calmed myself down just a little bit, but there is some stuff that I did want to cover that I didn't cover before. And I just want to remind people that the term comeuppance, that is not a joke. That is not one of those words that people really don't use anymore. So I really dated myself on that. But as I was discussing what would have to happen here. So a lot of people right now are using the term constitutional crisis. I had no idea what that meant. So even though he's putting in all these executive orders, my whole thing what he got in was it didn't really matter, right? He was going to say a bunch of wild stuff. Everybody was going to eat it up, yum 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 yum, right? And nobody was really going to say anything. We didn't have to worry about it in the long term because there were channels he had to go through. Like you just can't just walk around kicking stuff around and there's no accountability or nobody's going to try and stop you. Even if they had the entire government behind them, there was still things they had to do. So now at every turn, all of these stupid things that he keeps doing, the courts keep knocking it down. So now him and I'm sorry, President Musk and Trump, and co-president Trump decided that they were going to throw into the mix what would happen if we say we're just not going to do what the courts say. What if we just said no? What if we were like, okay, you said something, you made a point, that doesn't matter. Constitutional crisis apparently, if this is the reason why it's so important, is because if the Constitution is there, everybody's supposed to follow it, right? That's the whole basis of this place being still standing, right? Still standing because of these rules. Even with all of that coming together, if he decides to literally say no, I will not abide by the Constitution. If he only does that once, all of it's gone. That's it. If it's allowed one time, everything else is out the window. And I don't mean for like a minute, like he was like, I'm going to be a dictator on day one. No, no, no. He does this one time. Everything else is bunk. That's it. All of it is in the trash. You don't come back from that. If he goes this far, and, and here's my thing, I'm trying to still figure out in my brain how he would be allowed to do it. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what the from what my understanding is now there's threats of arresting or firing these judges because apparently Republicans are like, well, nobody elected them and da da. Okay, they're not elected. You are absolutely correct. Their job is to enforce the Constitution, and we are corrupt as hell. All of it, I mean, there's not one facet of this place that is not engulfed in corruption, from the local, uh, what is it, police chief and his deputy, where it's just two guys in a town, all the way to the top. Corruption, all of it, our entire system. Everybody knows it, and I thought everybody in the US knew it. Apparently, a lot of people really didn't know. I don't know where that came from, but whatever. With that being said, if he says no, if he decides that he tells Pam Bondi and he tells his sort of, crazies that he's just not going to follow the rules to get up in the middle of the night like ICE agents, you know, go into these people's houses, take them to court. They'd have to take them to judges that would be okay with now trying to convict judges for doing judges' jobs. You know what I mean? Like it sounds weird me saying it. Oh, okay. Anyway, just please understand. I'm gonna try to edit as much as I can. The stuff that I'm doing literally is just me having a conversation with you. I'm not dictating the news. I'm not doing any of that. I'm sharing. It's like you and me are sitting down right now. We're having a drink. It's 43 now. I'm not drinking. I wish I was, but I am hopped up on caffeine and it's cold. So this is just me talking to you. So I'm trying to figure out if he literally decides to do that, he would have to have a gang of judges that are willing to go this far, and it would have to be public. We would literally go back in time to where there was a monarchy. We would turn this whole place around. That's it. This is North Korea. Screw what you thought. Nobody cares. We'd have Tulsi Gabbard. She just got nominated. Boom. We have Hegseth, who, by the way, and I will be covering this a little bit later. Um, he just said, we're not going to Ukraine. We're not putting any troops on the ground over there. And the only way we're going to end this war is that they have to give up some land to Russia. That's it. That we talked about it. As a matter of fact, as I'm speaking, I didn't watch it. But and this is why I just wanted to be me and you talking. Um, I didn't get to watch it, but I just saw before I pressed the record button that that there was just a White House briefing about the call between um, Zelensky. No, between Putin, him and Putin. So I want to do this first, and then I'll play it so I can find out later if I was on point. So, from what, and this is my opinion. So, what I'm thinking is that he made a deal. He didn't include Zelensky. He said, "Look, this is what we're going to do the ping pong effect, right? You're going to do it this way. I'm going to, good cop, bad cop. Both of them are bad. Zelensky's not that stupid. He already knows this whole thing was a setup. He knew it was a setup before Trump got in, that it was a setup. And this is why Biden tried to give him as many pieces of military weapons that he possibly could. He was like, dude, I'm sorry. This is like, it's like when your drug dealer can't come no more. And he's like, look, I'm going to give you as much pot as I can, but you're going to have to find another dealer, man, because I'm moving to another state. That's what's happening with Zelensky. So he knew this whole time he was going to have to give something up. So right now they had that conversation. Still don't know what it is yet, but I'm going to speculate that whatever they discussed, it's going to be real bad. And Zelensky only has one or two choices. He either, and mind you, he's in very good standing with not only the allies or now possible allies to the United States, but allies of a lot of other countries because he stood up to Putin. Okay? This is what I would do. I would be on the phone right now and I would be calling all of these other countries and say, you'll never believe what happened. I'm about to get a call. No, I can't put you on three-way so you can hear it, but I'm going to get a call and they're going to tell me to give up my stuff. And I don't want to. Do you have my back? Now, that might not come out straight today, but I can guarantee you there will be a meeting in the next couple of days. It will be worldwide. And they will denounce Trump, they will denounce Putin, and they will denounce both of them as a duo, tag team WWF style. They can be like, okay, we see what you're doing. One, you're trying to take over Gaza. And you're trying to take over Canada. Did you hear about the Greenland thing? Now that he wants to turn it into red, white, and blue land? Dude, like a kindergartner could have came up with something better than that. Are you serious? Like, who's helping him? Or who's writing this? Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that nice little nugget in. Anyway, so he's trying to do all of this stuff, right? And it's just him and it's his little billionaire friends. And like I said, if anybody paid attention to any kind of research over the years, what do we talk about? And this is months ago I brought this up. Why are the people in this particular base, right? Us, people like us. We talk about fringe, we talk about conspiracies, we talk about black projects, we talk about black money, we talk about, people behind the scenes, the powers that be, blah, blah, all of it, all of it, all of it. And for some reason, we're allowing this right now to divide us. Like we didn't know this is how the whole process worked, right? Never in the history of ever was I interested in politics. Not once. Ever. I mean, never. I think I saw the inauguration for Obama the first time because I didn't think it was going to happen. I definitely thought it was going to be a possible assassination. I never thought that was going to go as far as it did, and that's when I was like, it's definitely it's definitely some kind of a weird system, um, a powers that be system. Anyway, so right now, the way that I feel this is in the direction that this is going to go, whatever bunkers, whatever little places where we know these people can go, they have the money for it to pay for this stuff. He pretty much just robbed the bank and put counterfeit money back in it. He took the information. We all seen it in movies, right? So you put the chip in, it's like the right? So it's like he's putting in a chip, he's pulling that out, and then he's got like some little 12-year-old in the background. He's putting in another chip and they're replacing with like fake numbers. This is whole, I'm telling you, whatever they need. And the only reason why this is still going with the hearings, and they're almost done, right? So it's like they just still got us watching. Sorry, this they still have a little bit left to do, just a little bit. So they're just making sure they just, hey, look over here, look over here, look over here, and then we're like, huh, and they're wiping everything clean. They're wiping everything clean. And here's the part that I think is actually really hilarious. I think that the people that are in the loop are not telling the people that keep showing their asses on TV that they're not in that loop too. It's like when people, and I love telling that to people that say that, oh, I'm a Freemason, I'm a 30-30, and yeah, I don't know who told you what, you're a person that pays dues. If you think you're in some secret cabal because you could tell people you have like a Mason sticker on the back of your car, you're not who you think you are. I think he got these Republicans super pumped, and when these two people leave, or four or five, because it's not just them. So apparently it's and they threw another guy in the mix. I can't remember his name, but he owns Cisco, that telecommunications company. He's involved somehow. I can't even remember how his name came up, but now he's involved. So we have all of these people. They're already gone, right? And you got these people, oh, we need to do what he says. And it's all about him and blah, 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 blah. And he's looking for corruption. And did you know they paid $5 for a trans lady's shoes? Or whatever the hell they're yelling about and talking about, wasting 20,000 hours over this, right? All of this coming around, when everything goes, those are going to be the idiots that are going to be standing there with their thumbs up their asses and didn't realize they were not in on the joke. They're going to realize it. The same way that Trump supporters who thought that he was going to get them bazillions of dollars. Now, if you weren't here for the first show, please go listen to the first show. That one was awesome. That's one of my coffee crazy rants that I probably would have said to myself if I wouldn't have remembered that I could record it. When he closed the U.S.A.I, right? I had just brought up how billions of dollars of food is sitting in Georgia, spoiling. Like there was no plan for it. Long story short, even though all of that money's gone, right? Even though all of that's gone, can't be replaced. Even though all of that's done. One of the things they kept bringing up in the oversight committee hearing today for Doge was that the best way to help taxpayers is if the Democrats would stop asking judges to stop him from doing the things that he's doing and just follow through. He literally said, and it was the dude from Missouri. I just saw his face. Ugh. I'll remember it at some point. Anyway, I live in the state of Missouri, so whoever the bold guy is, him. And I want to say the Republican, but they're all. There's not one Democrat here. Seriously, it might just be me. And I'm not even a Democrat. I really don't care about it. I care more about like the chess game. I don't really care about like all the names of the pieces. It's just the moves. So when so they were pretty much saying if you stop taking us to court, we wouldn't have to pay so much money in law fees. So just stop. He said, just move out of the way. If you're not going to be a part of this, then move out of the way. Those people are going to be left there with us. And I mean people that live in this country. I'm talking about their constituents. I'm talking about the people that they just burned. Those that food that came from and that's sitting there spoiled, that'll be spoiled maybe in a day or two. That money didn't go to Americans. Keep that in mind for everybody who's like, but you still don't understand there's corruption. Okay. There's a lot of hungry people. They don't want to give school lunches. Billions of dollars of food is sitting in Georgia. Nobody's getting it. Food can't be replaced. Nobody's getting it. Now that no more food is going to be made, every farmer that was able to produce that much food, and I'm going to get to that in a second. All of those farmers made excess money because all of the food that was being sent around the world was subsidized through their excess, right? Whatever was left over. So it's like, so let's say you want, not, I don't want to say Oreos. Okay, let's say cigarettes, right? Let's say you smoke a pack of cigarettes, right? And you got the really, really expensive kind. And then you got the real, real cheap kind, right? They're the same cigarettes. They're the same cigarettes. So when they make the expensive ones, there's stuff that falls out, right? It's like shavings. So whatever falls out, they shake it up, blah 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 blah. It comes down and it goes into something else. I worked at Tyson, right? We have the chicken. It will go through marination. It will go on a rack. The rack will go in the oven. The little thing would shake, and then like the little chunks or whatever else, it would fall through the grates, and then like the really nice pieces would be big enough to stay on something just drove by. How you call it, the nice you know pieces of chicken would literally just hop, go into the bag. They seal the bag. So the crumbs, I don't want to say crumbs because it wasn't crumbs, it was just like misshapen pieces, blah blah blah. So it would go down to this thing. They would still take it, they'd bag it, and then they'd sell it at a Tyson store where employees could get it at a discount. So they still made money. It's not like they took misshapen things and they threw it in the garbage. This is how farmers made extra money. So the farmers that already lost their federal grants and don't know when they're coming back, that's gone. And now whatever little bit of money they could have possibly made and it would have not been even close to how much they would have made if U.S.A.I would have still been open. That's gone. So if you're thinking that everything they're doing right now was to screw up and screw over Mexicans, you're wrong, because it's screwing over right before the season starts where farms are in full bloom, because I live in farm country. Wait until you start to realize how everything's going to be dead. Everything's going to be dead. I'm going to be able to drive through my tiny, tiny, tiny town and drive through Amish country, which is pretty much everywhere I live, and all the farmers over here, and I'm just going to see crops, and they're going to get brown, and they're going to die. And that's going to be it. Unless he freezes everything, and then people are going to be raiding the farms for corn that's laying on the ground. They're not just like, I don't know. I don't. I can still see it. I think that that's what my issue is. I can still see people still not getting it. When I watch these congressional hearings, I try not to. If you let's say like if I watch it through PBS, right? And they don't usually have the chat and comment section open, so I don't have to see like a live feed. But if I watch it on another station, like if I'm like, all right, just come on, Trinity, you can do it. Just go ahead and watch it. And I just see the scrolling, and my God, people still not getting it. Like they don't even want to hear the farmers. They don't want to hear the construction companies. They don't want to hear the factory workers. They don't want to hear the union workers. He just, I think I said it on Sunday. He had there was a there was an executive order that needed to be resigned so that workers could get overtime, compensated for overtime, right? To get overtime. He said no. So a bunch of people went and they went to like construction sites all over the country and showed them the video of where he said he wasn't going to re-sign it. And they were like, wait, he didn't sign it? They were like, no, did your employer tell you? And they were like, no. So they found out the hard way through random people asking questions to try to engage about this information. They had no idea. They had no idea. So right now, those same union workers that were there yelling and screaming on Trump's behalf during the RNC were told that the workers were told they weren't going to get paid overtime. And then the companies are telling them that you can stay here and work overtime and not get paid for it, or you could quit and I could find somebody who will work here just to have a job, and they don't mind staying here longer and not getting paid for it. Nobody's paying attention to that either. Everybody, oh, it's the libtards. Oh, it's the people that just they're so tired because, or they're so embarrassed because they got busted for being so corrupt. Talk to other people. Not just don't pay attention to you thinking that you're winning on that side. Don't do that, because that's where you're getting this false sense of security from. Don't do that. Look in the other direction just for a second. Not at whatever social nonsense you think is stupid. Look up look up what's going on with farmers. Just put what's going on with farmers. What's the financial impact on farmers? Or look up what happened to the food that didn't go to U.S.A.I. Or look up the new laws for overtime for workers. Look up just those random, that has nothing to do with Democrats. That has nothing to do with Democrats. That has nothing to do with those that don't have, that has to do with people. I think if people just stop looking at the other stuff, the reason why I do it is because I know where I'm coming from. I'm paying attention now, even though I know this stuff isn't real. And I don't mean like the stuff that's happening is not real. Obviously, it's real. I'm talking about the process has never been important to me because it never affected me in any way. These programs, when my husband was alive, if this didn't happen, let's say this would have happened when he still was getting chemo and they stopped giving him chemo, that would be a huge issue to me. That would be me burning down buildings because I would lose my shit. I know the importance of this. I know I have medical issues. And I know that if they took away my medicine, I would not be well. I will probably not be here. So this is important to me because now they're literally like, before it was like, oh, we're just going to affect, I don't know who the hell they were trying to affect. I know they never took it this far. That's what I'm saying. I know they never took it this far. And I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, damn it, now I gotta pay attention. And I never paid attention. It wasn't like I didn't think it was important. I just knew the game, how the game was played. Everybody else kind of did this. Nobody took it this far. And I'm not saying it in the way where everybody's like, oh, yeah. That's why we like Trump, because he was different from everybody. Yeah, he really is. He really is. He is going to take the place you claim you love and that you stand up for and that you say that your ancestors create. I don't care what the hell you're thinking about how this shit went down. I'm telling you, it'll never be the same again. If this dude got up on April 1st and said, ha ha, April Fool's Day, the country still couldn't be fixed at all. At all. Nobody is going to reattach themselves. Families completely destroyed. Mothers and sons and grandparents no longer talking. Right now, people trying to figure out how they're going to take care of their grandma or their mom's medicines and their dad's medicines, because months ago it was $20 and now it's $500. Nobody wants to look at that. If they find discrepancies in these programs, and I know that, let me tell you, I know that they're corrupt. And I'm saying that, and I'm going to say it, and I know you hear it in my tone. I 100% sure that there is corruption in those systems. I grew up in New York. In New York, I was there in the 80s. I was there in the 90s, and the easiest programs to take from was every federal program in New York. All of them. Nobody cared. They gave money away. I want to say like it's free, but that's dumb because it was free. But they made it so easy to take. There were no checks and balances. I'm talking about zero checks and balances when it came down to where that money was going. Nobody cared. Any vulnerable system that was available in the 90s, I either knew someone, was close to someone, or was like, let's just say close to people that understood how the system worked. You couldn't be in the 90s at my age range and not know how the system worked and how vulnerable it was to corruption because everybody was in on it. Entire cities were in on it because nobody cared. Nobody cared. So them finding that out now, just either it does one or two things. Either all of a sudden Trump and Elon Musk become Inspector Gadget and Secret Squirrel, and they found something that nobody in the history of eyeballs and brain cells were able to figure out, including, by the way, let's just throw this out there real quick. Apparently, Republicans didn't do it either. Because if I'm saying that I knew about the corruption and everybody I know knew about the corruption or was involved in it in some way, then guess what? The Republicans knew. So where was their stomping around? Oh, we find corruption and they don't want to do that. Everybody knew, nobody cared. This is why this is different. This is why this is different. Because now all of a sudden, this is the guy to pull the wool away from our eyes instead of over them. And I'm like, if that dude is the one that's going to tell me something, that is terrifying. Corruption has always been there. Republicans and Democrats always knew. Nobody ever did anything. The one thing we never did out in the open, every president has had some kind of probably wasn't billionaires, but definitely millionaires. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. I'm sure George Washington had some dude that was over there with him that had more money than him and helped him get into office. And I'm sure every single president and their little facade nonsense has been going on this whole time. This is the first time, like I said, that they have a literal glass machine. We are the cogs, but they let us see inside. We know where the pieces are falling. For some odd reason, there are still millions upon millions of people that will not ask a regular person or press keywords like Trump food bad? Nothing. Refuse to try to find out if anything is happening that's the opposite of what Trump is saying. You don't have to listen to Democrats. You don't have to listen to me. You could just press buttons about stuff that you just, let's say you're secretly, and it's just between me and you, because we're the only ones here. Seriously. If you want, you can secretly check that stuff out, find out that it might not be what you thought, and you could still believe what you want to believe. Yeah, that could actually happen. You could actually be like, well, now I know. Anyway, pro-Trump. Still. But at least in your mind, you could be like, oh, okay, at least now I know. That doesn't have to change your outlook. That doesn't have to change your views. It just gives you more information. That's it. That's it. That's it. Veterans are going to get so burned on this, and I feel so bad that there are vets that are out there, literally out there. During the confirmation for Hegseth, every time somebody interrupted, it was a veteran that was screaming, please don't pick this guy. And now he's out there showing his ass. He had to actually bring, I think it was the motto for the Marines. And they had to tell him what it was in front of them. Like it was like an open mic moment. He was already standing on stage. He had the little mic on his little ear or whatever in his, the little mouthpiece. He's talking and he meant to say it and he couldn't get it right. And then like the troops in the front and stuff were saying it so he could get it. He's the one that today decided to say we will not back Ukraine. Everybody knew that this was going to work out horrifically to let an ex Fox News anchor run the military. Now, right before I got here, I guess an hour ago, another plane crashed. Hold on, I just saw it. Okay, there was another plane crash. He's got the airlines thing. Damn it! I hate when my brain does that. Anyway, the guy that's running that, the whole, the air and the boats. Anyway, all of that. He's got a guy who was. He's got a guy who was an ex reality TV star in the 90s called The Real World. Like, does he not know anybody else? Almost every single person, almost every single person that he's got here is how you call it, was on TV. And it doesn't make any sense. And nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to say anything. Because he turned everything into, if it's something that you feel uncomfortable with, if you feel like I'm doing something wrong, it's not me, it's Democrats. So when you hear a Democrat talking, and mind you, oh my God, I just want to choke them every time they talk. Every time they talk. It's like, oh, I just want to be friends. And the Republicans are being so mean to me. I'm like, oh my God, if you don't grow back, you think that they're going to be held just as responsible for being punks? I'm going to do it. I'm going to hold them. I'm saying it right now. You think I care? Absolutely not. I'm saying there's both. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm saying it's people. People came out in Indian Times yesterday morning or last night. There was a lady, 71 years old. You said she went to one of the clinics that you said you used to go to. She went down there. She couldn't breathe. She usually gets medication or she was able to get oxygen there. She went down there. They sent her home and she died because there was no oxygen. She couldn't get any of the medicine she always got. She didn't even know it was closed. That's why she went. Like if she knew there was nothing there, she wouldn't have taken the last little breath she had to go all the way down there. So they're like, if you think that's bad, just imagine that place in Georgia with that much food and how many people needed it and now don't have it. It's not a bunch of Mexican gangs that are waiting for that food. It's not a bunch of trans people waiting for that food. It's hungry people in places that usually get food from the same place that now can't get it. And that's medicine, that's cancer research, that's for kids, that's for old people. We're not screwing Democrats and we're not screwing Republicans, we're screwing other people. And I'm telling you now, we have been known, this nation has been known to literally do a Carrie moment, oh, we're all friends, and then you put them up and you put the little crown on their head to be the prom queen, and then you dump the bucket of pig's blood. We're those people. When you keep doing that over and over and over again, people kind of pick up on it. And they're like, you know what? I don't think the U.S. can be trusted. Is anybody else feeling and getting that vibe from me at all? Oh, it's not just me. And now we're out there and we're burning those bridges and we're doing it in real time. The only consolation that I literally have out of all of this is that I know that 90% of those people in those countries understand that we have nothing to do with it as people. And I ran out of time. Okay, so I hope you come back with me for the next half hour. I told you I'll be doing this in 35-minute segments. I'm going to go find out about the plane crash, and I will be back. This is Love Spiracy. I'm your host, Trinity, and I'm so happy that you're here. I'll see you in a few.